There are things in life that we think we understand, but then one day we suddenly realize it turns out we've only just skimmed the surface. Like intimacy in love. Many people think that intimacy is just physical closeness, hot moments, but actually, it's much deeper than that. And because of that mistake, many couples have gradually drifted apart, even though they are still together physically. I want to invite you today to sit down and look back a bit, gently. Not to blame myself or anyone else, but to better understand a beautiful thing, the true intimacy between two people. You know, there are men who are not tall or speak sweet words, but just one look from them makes a woman feel loved and understood. On the contrary, there are also people who are always by your side, always doing the right role, but make the person next to you gradually feel lonely without knowing why. The difference is, one is present, one is just present. I once witnessed a man. Every night before going to bed, he gently covered his wife with a blanket, even though she had been asleep for a long time. I don't need anyone to know that. He didn't do it because he wanted to be praised. He did it just because of love. That's all. And I believe anyone who has ever received such a small, gentle, noiseless action will understand that true intimacy is when heart touches heart, without needing any words or conditions. In this video, I don't share theories. I don't want to teach you how to love properly. I just want to tell you about a different perspective and a different way of feeling about connection. Something that does not come from superficial attraction, but from whether we dare to be truly present with the person we love. Do you dare put down the phone to look at each other closely? Have enough patience to listen to each other, even when the other person is not good at speaking? And dare to enter each other's inner world, not out of curiosity, but because they want to stay. We have all felt pain and disappointment, but that's why we crave something real even more. A love that doesn't have to be rushed, doesn't need to be proven. It just takes the right person, the right way, and the right time, when both are willing to not only be together, but also stay for each other. If you've ever wondered why your relationship still feels lacking even though it has everything, then maybe what you're missing is a heart-to-heart touch. Let me tell you about where true intimacy begins, and why a man who knows how to present himself not with perfection, but with sincerity, can make a woman's heart bloom like magic. When I was young, I used to think of intimacy as moments of physical closeness, hugs, kisses, or simply the touch of hands. And while it's true that they bring a sense of connection, I've come to realize one thing. True intimacy, deep and lasting, doesn't come from temporary touches. It comes from being fully present when we are truly present for the person we love, with our whole body, mind, and heart. Have you ever been with someone and felt like they weren't really there? They heard you say, but their eyes drifted away. They hug you, but their hearts seem to be somewhere else. That feeling makes us feel empty, even lonelier than when we are alone. And that is why complete presence is so precious. I remember one time after a long, tiring day, I came home and my wife simply put her hand on my back, saying nothing. But in that touch, I felt a gentle sky. She didn't need to ask if I was tired, didn't need to say the cliché, "Everything will be fine," but just quietly appeared. And it is that presence that makes me feel loved, seen, understood. Presence does not need to be elaborate. Sometimes we just sit next to each other and do nothing. Turn off your phone. Look into each other's eyes. Listen to each other without trying to think of an answer. Just listen. Just feel. When we are truly present, the other person will feel as if we are putting our whole soul next to them. And that touches deeper than any physical contact. Someone once asked me, "How do I know I am truly present?" The answer is simple. Look into the eyes of the person you love. If they feel safe, if they relax around you, if they don't need to act when they talk, then you're doing it right. Because presence is not about being physically present, but about making the other person feel that they are important enough for you to stop, listen, and be with them. We live in an age where distraction is all too easy. Phone calls, work, text messages, a series of responsibilities keep our minds divided. But that's why, when you choose to be fully present, it becomes the most precious gift you can give. For women, the feeling of emotional security does not come from promises or large bouquets of flowers. It comes from feeling like you're really listening, really caring, really present. That's when you put down the phone, look at them while they speak, without interrupting, without judgment. It's when you know how to keep quiet at the right time, just letting them freely express what's in their heart. And you just need to be there, quietly, steady as a roof. Many people confuse lust and intimacy. But you know what? Lust can create hot moments, but it is presence that makes a relationship warm and lasting. Because desire may cool, but an emotional connection, once planted properly, will blossom into a lasting love that will transcend the years. I once heard a woman say, "I don't need you to do something big. I just need you to really listen when I talk." That sentence left me speechless. Because it turns out, what women need is not solutions, but empathy. Not advice, but presence. When you start practicing presence in relationships, you'll notice something. You'll feel more connected too. Because when you truly see others, you also begin to see yourself, the true emotions, the forgotten dreams, and the peace that you have not noticed for so long. True intimacy doesn't come from doing it right or performing well. It comes from sincerity. From the fact that you dare to take off the mask of a strong, perfect person to say, "I'm tired today, but I want to be with you." Or simply admit, "I don't know what to do right now, but I'm here with you." That's what makes women's hearts flutter. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And when you are present with your true self, without hiding, without running away, you are giving the most precious gift, yourself. If you are with someone you love today, try stopping for a few minutes. Look into their eyes. Hold their hand for no reason. Ask them, "How do you feel?" And listen not just with your ears, but with your heart. Because true intimacy doesn't come from what you do. It comes from whether you are truly present. And you know what? When you are present, the world inside the person you love will bloom like a garden, full of things you never knew. And when you see that garden, that's when you know you're truly in love. Sometimes, to touch a woman's heart, you don't need to do something big or spectacular. You don't need to say fancy words or promise things that are beyond your reach. In fact, what women will remember forever is not the grand evenings or expensive gifts, but the small moments in which you were fully present. I remember one time on a rainy afternoon, I simply gave her my coat without saying anything, just quietly. She later said, "I remember the feeling at that time as warm as hugging the whole world." Actually, I'm not trying to do anything impressive. I just listen to the very small thing inside me, that I want to take care of the person in front of me. Women are more sensitive than we think. They remember for a long time a gentle look when they have just had a tiring day. They are touched when you stop your unfinished work just to say one sentence, "Are you okay?" Those simple things, if they come from the heart, will create a strong emotional dopamine effect, because it taps into a person's deepest needs, to be seen, to be heard, and to be accepted without having to try to be worthy. I once witnessed a man who always remembered his wife's medicine time, even though he was very busy, not out of responsibility, but out of love. He is not flamboyant, not boastful, but it was that repetitive patience that made that woman cry when talking about him. The power of small actions lies in meaningful repetition. It's every day you touch her shoulder as you pass by, as if to say, "I'm here." It's when you hold her hand while passing through a crowded place, even though she doesn't need help. It's when you leave a small note, "I believe in you." Busy early morning. Love doesn't need to be brilliant. It just needs to be sincere and consistent. Every small action is like a brick silently building an emotional house inside her. A hug after work, a glass of water with the right taste, a frown as she fell silent. Everything, if done from a loving mindset, is proof of your presence in their lives. And if you are someone who is wondering, "How do I make her feel my love?" then start small. Don't wait for the right time. Actually, the best time is when you choose to open your heart. It's time you dare to slow down to see what the woman you love is really feeling. Don't be afraid if you don't know where to start. A sincere greeting, an aimless message, a gaze held a little longer. Try it. You will be surprised at its weight in her heart. Because in an era where people easily pass each other by, simple actions are what make women feel kept. You know, sometimes the things that move people the most don't come from big things. It's not about expensive gifts, lavish vacations, or grand declarations of love. In fact, intimacy, the invisible connection between two souls, is nurtured from small things that are easily overlooked. I used to think, to keep a strong relationship, I needed to do something big. But then, one time, I woke up in the middle of the night from a nightmare. My heart was beating fast, I was sweating profusely, and I felt alone. And at that moment, the hand of the person next to me gently grabbed my hand. No words, no lights on, just a handshake, and all my panic disappeared. I realized that that quiet presence has more healing power than any words of encouragement. From then on, I paid more attention to the little things. A gentle look when I'm tired, a simple text message, "Have you had lunch yet?" in the middle of a busy day. A look at each other across the breakfast table when no one said anything. You might be thinking, yeah, just the usual stuff. But I believe that it is those normal things, repeated over and over, as regular as breathing, that create a true sense of security and intimacy in a relationship. I once asked a friend who has been married for more than 20 years, "What is the secret to keeping two people so close?" She laughed and replied, "He always folds my shirt every night before going to bed, even though no one asks." It doesn't sound like a big deal, but imagine, after a long day, you see your nightgown neatly placed on the bed. You know that someone has thought about you, taken care of you, even if it's just a small thing, and that is what nourishes love. Have you ever noticed that there are repetitive actions that are habitual, but make us feel loved? Like every time I come home late from work, my lover always leaves the kitchen light on. No questions, no complaints. But that light always makes me feel waited for. Even though it's just a light bulb, it contains a silent and persistent concern. Intimacy really doesn't have to be noisy. No need to strain to show off. Intimacy. Sometimes it's just that you know someone who likes to drink water without ice, and you quietly order the same glass every time. You remember that the other person doesn't eat onions, so wherever you go, you should warn the restaurant carefully. You know that person often gets headaches when it's about to rain, so you always keep a small pill in your pocket. Those small actions don't need to be said, but are deeply felt. Because when you care about someone, you don't just remember their birthday or your love anniversary. You remember even very ordinary things like whether they like to sit on the left or right side of the dining table. They often take a nap for a few minutes after lunch, or they always wash their hands with warm water. I once heard someone say that in their relationship, the other person always checks to see if their shoes are muddy before entering the house, just to avoid dirtying the floor, not because they are afraid of being scolded, but because they appreciate the common space that they both cultivate. You see, intimacy is not about explosive moments, but when a person knows the smallest things about you and treats them with care. We all want to be loved and understood, but sometimes Instead of waiting for a romantic gesture from movies, start by folding a blanket for your loved one every morning. Pay attention when they stay quiet longer than usual. Make them a warm cup of tea when the weather changes. These are the languages of love without words. And you know, when you do those things, dopamine, a chemical that transmits happy emotions, is not only released in the recipient's body, but also in you. Because taking care of someone we love in simple ways warms our hearts. A hug for no reason, a word "I'm home" every time you open the door to enter the house, a time to sit and listen without interrupting those seemingly small things, is the soundtrack for a deep and lasting love. I used to think that to keep the fire in love alive, it was necessary to create a lot of surprises. But then I realized that what keeps the fire burning for a long time is not the fireworks, but the small, smoldering embers that are constantly fueled by acts of kindness every day. If today you want to do something for the person you love, start by observing. Are they tired or happy? What do they need? Is there something they said but you forgot? Sometimes just a word, "Thank you for working hard today," or an affectionate look when washing dishes together, is a greater gift than any bouquet of flowers. Intimacy doesn't come from doing everything right. It comes from always choosing to be present, choosing to be kind, choosing to listen. And when you do it naturally, without asking, without needing anything in return, you are planting a very lasting kind of love in the other person's heart. Maybe someone once told you that to keep someone, you need to be more beautiful, more talented, more attractive. But I believe that what keeps people here is the feeling of peace when they are next to you. It's when they feel they are cared for little by little, like a seedling that is watered every day, not too much, not too little, just enough to grow. And if you ever doubt that what you do is enough, remember, nothing is too small when done with all your heart. It is those small and sincere things that truly create the intimacy that binds two people stronger than anything flashy in the world. There's one thing I've realized after many years of observing and listening to women. What truly moves them is not compliments or expensive gifts, but the real presence of the man next to them. When I say present, I'm not just talking about being there physically. I am talking about a deeper form of presence, where the man is not only there, but also listens, understands and touches the inner world of the woman with all sincerity. I once witnessed a friend who was a strong, talented person, often not easily shaken. But one time she told me that she burst into tears just because her man silently put down the phone when she started talking. It's not because her words are so good. It's because in that moment, he didn't check messages, didn't surf the internet, didn't do anything else. He just looked at her and listened. With eyes that don't judge, don't rush to give advice, simply be present. I think for a woman, that is more precious than anything. We often talk about love as an emotion, but sometimes it is best expressed through presence. It's when a man is truly present, not just with his body, but with his heart, mind, and attention. It's when you listen to a story that seems trivial, but to her, it means the whole world. I remember one time, an older sister in the profession told me, "You know, women don't need to be solved, they just need to be felt." At that time, I didn't fully understand what she meant, but the older I got, and the more relationships I went through, the more I understood. Many men are very good at fixing mistakes. When a woman shares something, they immediately try to advise, guide, even interrupt to help her see the problem more clearly. But really, sometimes all she wants is just a nod, a hug, a silent presence. Why do women need it so much? Because they live by emotions. And when a woman feels that you are truly present with her without haste, without judgment, without distraction, dopamine is released in her brain. Not the strong kind of excitement like in daring actions, but a gentle, warm feeling like the morning sunlight. Have you noticed? There are moments when women become strangely beautiful. This is when they feel safe, heard, and seen. Their faces light up, their eyes soften, their voices soften. That's when they are touched by a genuine presence. A woman can live with many worries about children, work, home, and taking care of relatives. But if during that day there was a moment when someone held her hand tightly, looked deeply into her eyes and asked, "Are you okay?" without quickly changing the subject, her heart would bloom. I'm not saying that men should always have free time to sit and listen to every story, but real presence lies not in time but in quality. Sometimes just 5 minutes before leaving the house, you hug her for a long time and say, "Thank you for always being here." That's enough for her to carry that energy throughout the day. Sincere presence is also when you notice small changes in her. Is she a little quieter than usual? Ask gently, "Is there anything that makes you tired today?" Is she wearing a new shirt? Look closely and give a sincere compliment. She recounted something she said last week. Don't say "I heard," but let her know you remember that she is important. Because women do not require you to fully understand their inner world, but they need to know you care enough to want to understand. I once heard a man say, "I love my wife. She knows it." But love is not enough if not present, because love is not nourished by one-time emotions but by daily care. Just like a garden, you can't water it once and expect it to stay green forever. You need to be present to watch, care for, and cherish each leaf bud. I also witnessed an old couple. The old man peeled fruit every morning for his wife to eat. Don't say much, don't make any noise, but you see in her eyes there is gratitude, a quiet but deep love. We live in a very busy world where phones can steal our attention in seconds. But if you really want to create intimacy with the woman you love, start with putting down the phone. Look into her eyes. Listen with all your heart. Don't do anything else while she's talking. That's all. you will see a miracle. When women feel a sincere presence, they open their hearts. They calm down. They trust. And they will show you the beautiful corners that normally hide creativity, tenderness, healing, and lasting love. If you asked me what is the most precious gift you can give to the woman you love, I would not say flowers, jewelry, or romantic words. I would say, it is your presence without distraction, without haste, without conditions. Because when you are truly present, you are not just present in that moment. You become a part of her most beautiful memories. And she will always remember that there was once someone who looked at her deeply, listened to her carefully, and loved her in a very real way. That's when real intimacy begins. No need for a bed, no need for candlelight or music. As long as two people are fully present with each other, everything else will grow naturally. When talking about the art of an adult man, many people often think of achievements, steadfastness in career, or courage to overcome challenges. But for me, there is something even deeper than that, which is the ability to be present and create emotional security for the woman next to you. Maturity is not just about how much money you make or how many people you admire. It's when you can sit down, look into the eyes of the woman you love, and give her the feeling, you don't have to be strong anymore. I'm here. A mature man is one who does not shy away from his own fragility and that of the person he loves. He did not see the woman bursting into tears as too sensitive, nor did he see his need to comfort her as less brave. On the contrary, he understands that it is in those moments that true connection is created. I know sometimes men easily fall into the feeling of, I have to do something about it. Especially when your woman is sad, tired, or hurt. But sometimes the only thing she needs is a hand holding, a gentle hug, or just a few sincere words. I'm here with you. Everything will be okay. And I also understand presence is not always easy. In this modern life, work, phones, and responsibilities take us away. But what makes a grown man different is that he chooses to return. Choose to put your mind completely with the woman you love, even if just for a few minutes a day. You know, sometimes just a simple question, how do you feel today, is enough for women to feel loved. She may not answer right away. Maybe she just smiles or stays silent. But inside, there was some part of her heart that was healed. A mature man is also not afraid to express his feelings. He might say, I miss you. I feel insecure. I need a hug. And he doesn't see that as weakness. He understands that only when he dares to be honest will the person next to him trust him enough to open up. I once heard a saying that I really like. A mature man doesn't make a woman guess whether he loves her or not. He makes her feel it every day, with patience, with simple actions, with unhurried looks and genuine concern. One time, I saw a man sitting quietly next to his wife in the hospital. He didn't say much, just held her hand, occasionally bending down to kiss her forehead. At that time, I didn't know who they were, but I felt the peace radiating from the two of them. An unspoken, but very clear feeling. We will get through this together. That is the art of maturity. Noiseless, not fancy. But it can become a place for women to return to, is a fulcrum, a space for her to be herself without trying, without having to strain. And you know, when a woman feels that, she blossoms. She will soften, become more gentle, more confident, not because you do for her, but because you make her feel safe to live true to her heart. If there's one thing I want to say to you men listening, it's this. You don't have to be perfect to be loved, but always try to be genuinely present. Look, listen, and care actively. Don't wait until the woman is sad, tired, or leaves to start learning how to stay. Maturity is when you understand that true intimacy does not come from desire, but from loving presence. It's when you don't just say, "I love you," but live so that she feels it every day through your eyes, through your arms, through the way you listen to seemingly small things. You don't have to be a superhero. Just being a man who is safe enough to keep the woman he loves being himself is more than enough. And that is one of the most beautiful arts of maturity.